Red shoes are the hottest trend for autumn-winter 2023. At least that's what the fashion girlies are loving this season. As it's fashion month, let's explore the iconic history of the red shoe, from ancient Egypt to the Wizard of Oz and beyond. After all, the red shoe's a classic. The girl with the rose-red slippers is a myth about Rhodopis, perhaps named Dorica, who has a prized pair of red shoes. One day, while bathing, an eagle swoops down and snatches up one of the red slippers in its talons before flying away to the south over the Nile. Rhodopis mourns the loss of her red slipper bitterly. The eagle carries it to Amasis the pharaoh and drops it into his lap. The pharaoh is so moved that he sends his messengers to travel until they find the girl from whose foot the red slipper came and decrees that this girl should be his bride. Eventually, the messengers find Rhodopis, whose foot, of course, is a perfect fit for the slipper. Thus, ancient mythology originates the Cinderella story we know and love. Ancient historians Herodotus and Strabo disagree in some respects. For example, Strabo corrects Herodotus's identification of the girl, citing her name as Dorica instead of Rhodopis, which literally translates as rosy-cheeked. This could be an epithet, or these could be two different women. Olive Beaupre Miller then refashions the story in 1920, and although its historical truth is dubious, red shoes are at the centre of the story. So this may be one of the earliest examples of history's fascination with red shoes. Jumping forwards to Pope Benedict XVI, the Vatican in 2008 issued the truly iconic statement that the devil may wear Prada, but the Pope wears Christ. Il Papa non veste Prada, ma Cristo. What is going on? Prada and the Pope are not two words one expects to find paired in the same sentence, but during the media sensation caused by Benedict XVI's red loafers over the course of 2007 to 8, the pontiff's red footwear attracted so much attention that Esquire deemed him 2007's Accessorizer of the Year, despite the Vatican's objections. The clash of liturgical associations of the blood of Christ and the fire of the Holy Spirit with modern fashion trend rumours that the papal loafers were made by Prada illustrates the attention-grabbing nature of red shoes. Throughout church history, the colour red has been deliberately chosen to represent the blood of Catholic martyrs, spilled through the centuries following in the footsteps of Christ. The red papal shoes are also linked to Christ's own bloodied feet as he was prodded, whipped and pushed along the Via Dolorosa on the way to his crucifixion, culminating in the piercing of his hands and feet on the cross. The red papal shoes are one of the few remnants of the former red colour of the papal garments. Pius V, Pope between 1566 and 1572, was a Dominican and changed the papal colour to white by continuing to wear the white colour of his Dominican religious order, and it has remained so since. The current Pope, Pope Francis, has foregone the red tradition and wears black shoes instead. The history of red shoes can be traced back as early as Etruscan Rome, where they signalled the wearer's noble status. As bright colours were difficult and expensive to produce, red footwear became closely aligned with wealth. Sumptuary laws restricted which classes were allowed to wear certain colours, and red eventually became a colour reserved solely for the Roman emperor. Red was the colour of the banner of the Byzantine emperors. In Western Europe, Emperor Charlemagne painted his palace red as a very visible symbol of his authority and wore red shoes at his coronation. In China, where brides still wear red wedding gowns and red carpet. Sound familiar? Not an invention of the Oscars ceremony or the film industry, as we might think. In fact, the earliest reference to walking down a red carpet is said to be in the work of Aeschylus from 458 BC. When the eponymous hero Agamemnon returns from Troy, he is greeted by his wife Clytemnestra, who offers him a red path to walk upon. This is no coincidence. The meaning is clear. Now, my beloved, step down from your chariot, and let not your foot, my lord, touch the earth. Servants, let there be spread before the house he never expected to see, where justice leads him in, a crimson path. Agamemnon is murdered by his wife a few scenes later. Red carpet treatment indeed. Hans Christian Andersen uses crimson footwear as a narrative device in The Red Shoes, published in 1845. The story centres around Karen, a poor orphaned girl who is adopted by a noble woman. She longs for a pair of red leather shoes fit for a princess. Her adoptive mother buys her a pair but insists that she should only wear black shoes to church. As Karen is about to enter the church, she meets a mysterious old soldier with a red beard. "Oh, what beautiful shoes for dancing," the soldier says. "Never come off when you dance," he tells the shoes, and he taps them. After a while, Karen's shoes take control of her and she is unable to stop dancing. An angel appears and condemns her to dance even after she dies, as a warning to vain children everywhere. Karen begs for mercy, but the red shoes take her away before she hears the angel's reply. She attempts to go to church to seek a pardon, but the red shoes spirit her away each time. She asks an executioner to cut off her feet to escape the red shoes, but even this doesn't set her free. She eventually finds peace, but the story's enduring message is a dark warning against vanity. Anderson apparently named the story's anti-heroine, Karen, after his own loathed half-sister, Karen Marie Anderson. The story is based on an incident Anderson witnessed as a small child. His father, who was a shoemaker, was sent a piece of red silk by a rich lady to make a pair of dancing slippers for her daughter. Using some valuable red leather along with the silk, he created a pair of shoes, only for the rich customer to tell him that they were awful. She said that he had done nothing but spoil her silk, to which Anderson's father replied, "In that case, I may as well spoil my leather too," and he cut up the shoes in front of her. A 1948 film of the same name reinforced the imagery of the red shoes as a malignant force, as a ballet dancer is torn between love and her art, eventually choosing the latter as the shoes exercise their mysterious power over her. The ending is tragic, and I think 2010 film Black Swan's ending definitely plays on this alongside the Odette Odile arc. Kate Bush's 7th album, The Red Shoes, is based on this fairy tale too. Her lyrics tell a similar story of a young woman who will be made to dance till her legs fall off. Her accompanying short film, The Cross, the Line and the Curve, places another pair of red ballet shoes at the centre of the narrative, ones that pay homage both to their filmic and folkloric predecessors. Dorothy's ruby slippers in The Wizard of Oz are perhaps the first pair that come to mind when you think of red shoes. The sequined heels drive the story. They end up by accident on Dorothy's feet, and she must face the Wicked Witch of the West in order to hold on to them and their power. Eventually, the shoes help her return home back to the safety of sepia-toned Kansas. The ruby slippers evoke magic, adventure, as well as the comfort of home. But beyond that, they also provide, in Christopher Frayling's words, a bridge between Depression monochrome and Hollywood Technicolor. In L. Frank Baum's original book, the slippers were silver. The heel's colour was changed to showcase the expensive splendour of Technicolor and to make Dorothy's footwear sparkle against the yellow brick road. When the Wicked Witch of the West tries to remove the shoes, she is unable to touch them and realises her mistake, saying to Dorothy, "They'll never come off as long as you're alive," echoing the fairy tale in this regard, although the ending of The Wizard of Oz is of course much happier. Where else in history do red shoes pop up? After the French Revolution, Napoleon is connected with the rejection of the red heel and the red hat. This distanced him from both sides of the revolution. The Breton revolt was known as the Revolt of the Bonnet Rouge, or red caps, and the red heels a synecdoche of the royals. Thus, by rejecting both sides of the fighting, Napoleon sought to establish a new order. Looking specifically at the rejection of the red shoes, we come to Louis XIV and his younger brother Philippe d'Orléans. Some say it was her way to keep young Philippe from coveting his elder brother's throne, but for whatever reason, the Queen Mother decided to raise Philippe as a girl, surrounded by women. Gender binaries who? Philippe cross-dressed, preferred high-heeled shoes, and kept these affinities throughout his life. The story goes that one day in 1660, Philippe's heels became stained whilst walking in the streets of Paris. He found them so lovely that he went home and painted all of his heels red. The red heels became so popular that everyone at court started painting their heels red too. Very Alice in Wonderland, paint the roses red. Even Philippe's brother, King Louis XIV, hopped on the trend, and then, naturally, forbade everyone who was not aristocratic from wearing them with the sumptuary law. Noble portraits show that men and women wore heels for about 100 years. King Louis XV was painted wearing a pair. Red heels had pretty much gone out of fashion by the time King Louis XVI was beheaded in 1793 during the French Revolution, but their symbolism remained. This is the reason that Napoleon is anti-red heels. Coming back to red-soled shoes in the 20th and 21st century, we naturally arrive at Louboutins. Christian Louboutin, like Philippe, apparently painted his first red shoe bottoms himself. He borrowed his assistant's bottle of red nail varnish in order to improve the colour of a factory prototype. What do you think about red shoes? Are they a classic? Thanks for watching this whistle-stop tour, and see you next time on It's a Classic.